What's up, Moto Buddies? Mike here from Taco Moto Co and Baja Taco Tours. We are on location in Plain, Washington. This is the Touratech Rally 2021. Touratech Outdoor Rally in Washington. You guys coming in back from their rides. This is the annual rally. Last year, I don't think they had it because of the whole COVID situation. So the manufacturers here this year are Harley, and they've got the Pan America, which is a badass bike. I gotta hand it to them. The motor is incredible. It's a big chassis. It's a big ADV platform. That machine is pretty impressive. KTM's got a display here. They've got some of their lighter bikes, so they've got a 500 over there and 790 and a bunch of their machines. Triumph's here as well, factory support. Heather Lewis is over here right now doing a little seminar on body positioning, rider positioning. Jimmy Lewis is here doing some of his training. We've got some of the tents from some of the guys here that are repping product. It's a great event. It was raining yesterday, kind of nice today. So we're talking about John Young's, I think this is a 20. It's a 450. It's an 18, so it's a 19. So this is his 2019 450L. And John this is a unicorn bike because John is chosen to do with the CRF450L what typically guys are doing, like with the KTM 500. So you can debate whether or not which of those platforms makes a better light ADV bike. But what John has done is gone all in. And this is a super unique machine. And he's doing what a lot of guys are already doing with the 500 platform. And he's chosen the 450L to make all of those improvements and changes to make this, for him, just a real super badass overlander. His primary mission with his bike is to set it up as a BDR bike. And so he's in Washington because he's doing the Washington BDR, swung over by this event to see what's going on, check in with us. And you can see he's already done Idaho, Utah, Arizona, Colorado. And in a couple of days' time, he'll have Washington sewn up. And so his objective and goal is to make this bike that's really this ultimate overlander. Let's walk through this machine. You can go to his channel, and we'll put a link in the bottom of the notes here so you can see what he's doing. John really, in my opinion, is one of the better non-industry guys. So John is not one of the dudes who is in the professional motorsports industry. He is a avid adventurist, amateur adventurist, and has done a hell of a job informing riders, the ridership, about this bike, and has done a lot of great videos on how-to, maintenance, improvements. He's very thorough and very accurate and very impartial, and that's why I think he's done so well with the content he's putting out, because he's not trying to impress anyone with product in one way or the other. He's just trying things and experimenting and seeing what works, and the things that work best for him go on the bike. And so his use of a component really means that it's best in class. And he's putting in the work, he's putting in the time, he's putting in the research, he's putting in his own money to get a lot of the components that he's gotten and to try them out. Now, that said, he's gotten some equipment on here that manufacturers also recognize, like what I just said. Manufacturers are recognizing him as a great voice for this bike, for this platform, because he's so impartial and he's so honest about his opinion, his reviews of things. So there's a lot to be admired about what John is doing. And then if you have one of these bikes, I would absolutely recommend you jump over and take a look at his channel and see what he's about. I think guys who are maybe even on the KTM machines would do well to look and see, because he's just got great techniques and ideas and delivery. I think that'll help anybody out no matter what kind of machine they're on. So let's start from the front to the back, because that's where things are maybe the most interesting. And this is the Rebel X Rally Tower. This is out of Italy. And Manuel and his team from the Italian company Rebel X have done, as far as I know, they're the only guys that have done a rally tower for the Honda. There may be others, and in the comments, please let me know. But I would argue that this is for sure the best looking. And so what they've got here is a front headlight mount that'll take the Baja designs. This is the Pro version, which is the the smaller footprint, and then they've got the double. So there's 6 lights in here, and then you could get in there and you could shim and angle them so they're at different points. They're both mounted to the same flat plane, and they're both facing the same direction, but you could get in there and change some of that positioning. But there's also a really simple, this is what I like a lot, is it's so easy to change the whole angle of the headlight assembly here with just a Phillips screwdriver. I do like that. They've got a replaceable screen. If that breaks or cracks, you can get that. These components are highest quality, very exceptional quality. And you can just see in here the workmanship of the materials. It's very strong aluminum. And the beauty of a rally tower, a couple of things you get out of this is you get some windbreak on you. And so now when you're on the highway or when you're in the rain, you've got air positioning that's going to go up and over your head as much as possible, as much as you can really get. Now, they don't currently have other screens that are taller. There are aftermarket screens that are from other manufacturers that you could screw and bolt on here that get you a little more, and we'll throw links of what some of those are if you wanted to. John says that that's probably not, in his opinion, needed. He's only running minimal highway miles. One of the reasons, in my opinion, I don't run a lot of highway on these bikes is just they are buzzy. Are they as buzzy as the 500? No, they're not. Those are a little smoother. The Honda is, let me say it differently. The KTMs are a little buzzier. The 500 is a little buzzier than the 450, than the Honda. Not by a long measure, but it is buzzier. This is a little smoother. Even still, it's not smooth like a double cylinder. Any single cylinder bike is going to be buzzy. That's just the nature, the inherent design nature of a single cylinder machine. And they are all buzzy. You just have a little bit less on this one versus the KTM, but it's still not nothing. And so it's just not super comfortable to do a lot of highway miles on. Now, what's super interesting about what John has done here is he's put in a ton of work, a lot of time configuring his cockpit to manage the tower and then give him the instruments and then the positioning and even some protection that you can see. This is some custom stuff. So John has hot melted some sheet plastic here to give him, this is a bit of like a wire protective shield over the back of the instrument cluster, just so that this stuff is not so exposed and open to being caught or snagged. It also dresses it up. He's custom bent some brackets here. This is all his own design, his work. He's got 12 o'clock labs. This is a little display that gives you a tach and air temperature, coolant temperature. So it's a little mini instrument cluster right here in addition to what you get out of the stock display. That's very cool. And then he's put this little, again, another little bracket down here to just shield out some of this wiring here. All of these little dress plates are his design and his manufacture, and they're very cool. Notice on the hand guards, these are the Zeta guards. Notice that they have been cut and adapted in length, and that's because the stock length came at full lock stop too close to this, and so he needed to bring them back, and there were some modifications that he had to do to take care of that. And he again, John does really clean work, and so this takes care of that. You can see he's got RAM mounts here for GoPro. Right now he's running a tablet. This is just a big footprint Android tablet, and it's powered from the bike, and he's got the cigarette lighter 12 here. Let's take a look on the other side really quick, because here's some switches that control heated grips, which are underneath the grips here. It's these are like heated grip pads. He's got switches for that and switches for that cigarette lighter, and then he's got a spare. And this is all, again, this is stuff that he made and adapted to this setup. The cable mount right here also is something he's come up with. So super clever, very, very good work on this. Tank is the Nomad. That's the big 5-gallon. We've talked about that before and how you can get almost all of the gas out of this tank just by bouncing it around. On the front, he's got some Motos tires. These are, what is this one? This is the Tractionator. I think this is kind of like the Rally tire. Yeah, RALZ, R-A-L-L-Z tire. Okay, and then on the bottom down here, this is the Apex skid plate. And the thing that's good about that is it's got the link, so it covers the trailing link down here for the bottom of the shock. It does a good job of that. He's got all these little Zeta pieces, so these are just little dress pieces, a chain guard here, and then the case saver, shift link, or the shifter rather, Down here is chain protectors, chain slide on there. He's got the steg pegs. Now, steg pegs are a nice addition when you're putting in a ton of miles. Basically what happens is as your leg, as you accelerate and you're standing in a standing position and your body pushes back, what this little bumper here does is it just stops your boot from moving backwards, so that instead of using core energy, arm and core energy to keep your ass position forward from just being thrown backwards, your boot kind of slots into this or stops by that. And it's just an energy saver device. They are very effective. John likes them. They do a good job. And you can see that you can stack the pucks. He's got 2 on here. You could put 1. You could get longer bolts, and you could put as many, be ridiculous, but you could put a few on there. Typically, I've never seen more than 2, although I have heard of guys stacking a 3rd on there. But with the steg pegs, you can also slide it forward. This is a great little company out of Australia. So if you're overlanding and you want to conserve energy, it's not about being a better rider or a skilled or unskilled rider. It's just about conserving energy. And when John's doing these long BDR trips, you're on your feet a lot, and these help out a lot. Take a look at these at Cheruby's frame guards. So they don't make fitment for the RL bikes. They only make the R machines, the motocross machines. And the frame is a little different on the motocross bike than it is here on the X and L and RL bikes. So what you have to do is you have to get in here and trim this out a little bit. And we'll take a look at that on the other side too. You have to do the same thing over here. You just have to get, and you can see where some of this has been cut. You got to cut it up around here a little bit, and in a few places the screw holes don't line up. So that's just, it is what it is. If you want to put the Cheruby's frame guards on there, you have to do a little custom modification. That's just how it goes. He's got the, let's talk about the exhaust. So he's heat wrapped it. A lot of heat comes off this thing, gets up onto the rider's boots, onto your legs, and if you're in slow going sections, you just feel that heat transit up into your leg. And by wrapping it, you insulate that out. And so he's just added a couple of, those insulating pads and fiberglass wrapped it, and then got it back here too. Now it extends up here to the header pipe, or to the muffler. So what he's got going on is the Yoshi front end. This is basically the same. This header pipe is the Yoshi, and it's the same diameter as the X model. So the X bike and the Yoshi are essentially the same, and that mates up to this Graves. And so back here in the rear end, he's got this Graves muffler. And notice one thing to point out here is we've got a little bit of a discoloration and then some glue melting. That's because all of these bags right here are just retaining a ton of heat. And so when you're moving slow, you can just see that there's a lot of heat retention. With the bags off, you can see everything a little bit better. So there's some heat shielding, giant loop down here, and then he's got the other one up here. And that's just to protect all of this, because there's a lot of weight happening with the bags. And so you're distributing that weight across the muffler and then not putting it right on there. So anyway, this discoloration is just a result of that. And this sticker is easily replaced. I've seen this happen on other brands, so it's not just unique to this particular muffler. This muffler has some unique attributes in that it's got this removable DB killer with a spark arrestor in there. And so by having that installed, you've heard us talk about this on the KTM bikes, and the same thing is happening here on the Honda machine, promoting some nice, smooth, low-end power. Is distributed a little better on the low end, but it also is a very nice resonance chamber with the sound. And so when you're riding in forest service areas, you need a spark arrestor, but also pushes the sound, the decibels down. So that's a really nice feature, that you have 2 pipes in one. When you pull it out, more of a wide open straight pipe for maybe street, race, supermoto, that sort of thing. And then when you're riding off-road, anything where forest service approval is necessary, then you want to pop that thing in. While we're here, notice that he's got this Skags rack back here, and this on the Honda, as we know, the Honda subframe comes all the way back here to the light itself, and so weight is distributed here into the subframe. This rack carries his Moscow bags really, really well, and structural rigidity all the way to the back end to accommodate that. On the license plate, I think this is the Flatland Racing one. But take a look and see what happens when you eat it and you don't have the bags. It bends up the plate. So we're going to get him set up with a enduro plate, and that will allow the plate to flex, right? Because it's got that magnetically held pivot point, and drop this stuff away. We'll still mount it to this drop bar here, but the plate carrier itself, instead of this arrangement, it'll be the enduro plate, and that will keep it from getting bent and banged around. Taking a look back here on the rear wheel, we just put on, thanks to Bill and over at Pacific Power Sports, they're the U.S. importer, Bill and Brian from Motos Tires out of Australia. They were very nice and generous and threw a new rear tire on there for him. This is a Tractionator Rowell Z. It's the match to the front tire, and he's got, I think he said he just kind of found this on eBay. Also the little chain guard over there, and then he's got a Tusk rear disc guard here as well. IMS core, these are stainless steel with some really aggressive cleats like those are cool. Rekluse, the Rekluse CX in there works incredibly well. The bags, you see he's got the Moscow, these are the Moscow rackless system, and he's got it all decked out easily. Arguably the premier luggage system out there. This is his choice. They're fantastic. RTW Paul is running these. A lot of the guys are running these, but you've got other brands that do a really good job too. Giant Loop has some great product, and so again, that's something that just comes down to personal preference and what you like the best. So that's sort of, let me talk about one other thing here on the bars as I think about it. He's got the Vortex on here, and then the steering damper. I find that the steering damper is really essential kit when you set up these Hondas. The suspension is twitchy and not, for me anyway, out of the box to my liking, and so it takes suspension modifications and a stabilizer to get it to a point where I like it myself anyway. Aftermarket levers, I don't know, I'm just looking around for a couple of the last and final things. Atlas throttle lock for cruise control. I think he's got some fork bleeders on there. Air bleeders are a nice addition to get the pressurized air out of your forks. Moscow tank bag. So there it is. This is kind of the fabled CRF450L that John rides around on. Check him out on his channel if you see him out anywhere. A hell of a nice guy. He will talk to you about his bike. He will talk to you about riding. He's a great ambassador for the sport, and I think we all owe him some thanks for what he's doing, not only for the Honda platform for the L bikes, but just for ADV riding and BDR. He's a great ambassador for the BDR routes. So if you have any questions for John, you can jump on his channel and ask him there or ask him here, and I'm sure he'll monitor that and get back to you. And you can follow him on all the socials. Here's his Instagram, and he's on YouTube, and I'm not sure about Facebook, but you can find him in all the regular places. That's it. Shutting this down as it starts to rain at the Touratech 21 outdoor rally. Go out, and like John does all the time, go out and get some adventure.